Hi, I'm Miss Cornado, and I am an art teacher at East High School. In our art classes, we like to talk about observation. Observation is when we look at something. But we're not just looking at something, we are observing and really investigating, seeing all of the little details on the object. So today when we're observing, make sure that you're looking at all of the little details in your objects. Which brings me to the materials. We're going to be creating an art project that you already have the materials for. You should be able to find all of these materials at your homes. First, what you're going to draw on. I would recommend just some blank paper. But if you don't have blank paper, you could even use lined paper. You could probably find an advertisement that you got in the junk mail that has an empty back on it. You could even rip off a piece of cardboard and use that as your drawing paper. Now, other than what you're going to draw on, you need something to draw with. So, you can use a pencil, but I would recommend for this project to use a marker. You could also use crayons or paint, watercolor paint. If you ask nicely, maybe your mother's lipstick or a ketchup bottle in the fridge. Anything that you can use to make a mark. The last thing that you will need today for materials is your object. Now, when you're thinking of an object, you want to think of something that has form. That means that it's three-dimensional with length, width, and height. So I could use my super cool East Bear mask, but it's pretty flat, so I'm not going to use that. I could use my really cool coffee mug. This has a lot of good form because you can see the different curvatures of the mug. And it has this cool little handle and a hole through it. I could use a stuffed animal. Now, the stuffed animal has some great texture to it. It's very fluffy, puffy. It would also be a very good object. But today I'm going to use my favorite object, an object that all of my East family knows, and that is Hamish. Hamish is number one in my life. He is my rubber ducky, and he has a big old family living in the dungeon of East High School. So we're going to use Hamish as our object today. When you're using your object, you want to make sure you set it down and don't touch it again. If you move it even the littlest bit, you're going to get some different lighting. And we need to pay attention to how the lighting sits on our object. So set up your object, get your paper ready, get your utensil. We're going to be doing contours today. A contour is just a fancy word for outline. So when we're observing our objects today, we're just going to be drawing the contour. Now, again, our objects are three-dimensional. They have form. We want to make sure with our outlines and our contours that we are not just getting around our object, but looking into the object. Remember, we're observing, getting all of those little details. So when I'm looking at Hamish, I'm seeing outlines with the different colors, like on his beak, on his eyes. But also I'm seeing outlines on his shadows. He's kind of dirty too, so he's got some dirty marks outlined on his body. So I want to pay attention to every little detail of Hamish as I draw him. So get a clean sheet of paper. This lesson will be for elementary age students. That means kindergarten all the way up through 5th grade. We're gonna have 2 levels of this drawing. That means level 1, that's for my beginners. Maybe the ones who think, I'm not good at drawing. My level 2 are for my lovers of drawing. So let's start with level 1. I am observing Hamish. I'm going to draw his contours. And the challenge for you, my level 1s, is when you put your marker down, it's staying down. That means you're not gonna pick it back up. It's gonna stay right here the whole time. Now I'm going to start drawing Hamish using my eyes to observe. And I'm gonna look to double check and make sure that I'm in the right place at the right time. Now again, I'm not picking up my marker. I'm just leaving it be. And if a mistake happens, that's okay. We're artists, and making mistakes is a great way to learn. It's a great way to better your practice. And sometimes mistakes look really cool. So I got my beak here, and now I'm stuck all the way on the right side. I don't have anything else. Am I gonna lift my marker? No, of course not. I'm going to cut right through and start drawing the rest of what I see. And as I'm continuing to draw Hamish, I'm noticing his shadows. I'm noticing his marks. I'm noticing how dirty he is. I'm noticing that I made his head really funky, and that's okay. I'm noticing that he has a weird mark on the top of his head that I don't remember. I'm noticing that I think I did his beak weird, and that's okay too. And now I'm stuck in the middle of his eyeball. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna keep going, and I'm not gonna lift up my marker. And I'm gonna cut across, maybe get some more of these marks on his head. And I'm just gonna keep going. Look at how funky he's looking. Now, the more expressive your lines are, honestly, the cooler it's gonna look. So I'm kind of staying in a little tiny box right now. I need to get a little funky with it. So I'm gonna take my arm and I'm gonna let it move, starting with my elbow. Get some more of those marks on him, especially this giant wing down here. It's got lots of cool marks going. And my marker's actually running out, but that's okay. It's gonna add a different dimension to Hamish. I'm gonna fix his beak a little. And notice I still haven't picked up my marker at all. And once I think I'm finished, I'll take another look at Hamish and say, this is a pretty funny duck. And then I'll lift my marker and put the cap on, not even worry about it ever again. Now, if you want to amp it up, make it a little more fun, you can totally grab some colors and start coloring them in. I have a pink. I might make one of his eyeballs pink. I have an orange. I'll make the other one orange. And I might color in all of these different areas, different colors, to add another level of interesting marks to my drawing of Hamish. The one thing I want to make sure you do not do is don't erase. It's okay if you make mistakes. It's okay if it looks funny. That's the whole point of this. It's called an exercise. So don't worry about how it looks. Don't worry about erasing. Just have fun with it. Cute. All right, you guys can keep coloring in your object and your contour lines of your object as much as you want. I'm gonna go on to my level 2. So my level 2, remember this is for my art lovers. Get a clean sheet of paper. Mine has a little bit of ink on it. Get a marker. And we're gonna start the same way that my level 1 started. We're gonna start by putting our marker down. And you know what? Let's have a little fun. Let's move your object. You can move your object in between artworks, just never touch it while you're creating. So let's go with this side of Hamish. I'm gonna put my marker down, and just the same as level 1, I'm not gonna pick it back up. The difference between my level 1 and my level 2 is that I'm only gonna look at Hamish. I'm not going to look at my paper. It is invisible to me. I'm just observing Hamish, and I'm just gonna draw Hamish, and I'm gonna let my eyes be my marker. So pretending that there's an invisible line, invisible string, connecting my marker with Hamish's big ol' head, big ol' eyes, little eyelashes, and the other eye. Bet it's looking pretty funny. But like I said, that's the point. It's all about observation. So as I'm drawing Hamish, I can kind of see my drawing out of the corner of my eye, but I'm not gonna look at it, even though I'm so tempted to look at it. That's a big ol' shaded part right there, with lots of dirt all over it, because Hamish, you're just disgusting. All those details in the wings. All right. So as I'm working around Hamish, again, I'm not looking at my drawing. I'm focused on observation. I'm focused on all the little details of my little ducky. For you, whatever object you're looking at. And I'm using that as my guide. And when I'm done, I lift my marker up, never to be put down again, and now I can look at it. And I bet it looks really funny. Wow! Hamish! That's a good new look for you. So again, for my level 1s, you are doing contour drawing where you're looking at your object, you're putting your marker down or your writing utensil down, and you are just drawing your object using one continuous line, looking back and forth, observing. For my level 2s, that's called blind contour because you are blind to your artwork as you're creating it. You're just going to be observing your object with your marker or writing utensil down in one continuous line. And you can't look at it until you're done. That's the challenge. Now, just like in my first drawing, I can go into this one and use some colors, decorate them a little bit. So I might find this shape and make it pink. For my level 2s, I challenge you to not notice where the parts of your object are. For instance, the eyes or nose or different parts of a cup. I want you to notice the different segments of your lines that you make. That way you're not trying to draw your object as much as you're trying to create shapes within your object. Let's see, might get some of these wings. Some of this shape. And again, you can use whatever materials that you have at home for this project, which means no excuses. You can make art anywhere, anytime, with anything. And just like with my level 1s, for my level 2s, you can keep coloring in different parts of this for as long as you want. And with as many colors as you want. All right, elementary, that's it for your Fine Arts Friday this week. Have fun making some contour and blind contour artworks, and we'll see you next week with KCPS.